Welcome to the Moto Mill. And the question of the day is Honda's 1981 450 as good as one of its late model 450s? We'll dive into that now. As you can see, this bike is sporting Honda's ProLink system, first year for their monoshock. It's got that interesting stadium front number plate, red motor, Tahitian red. This bike's sporting a lot of originality, like most of my bikes are. I got that big M5B in the rear, really helps it hook up. I love some neat little features of this machine here that the later 82 480s and stuff don't get. Like, I love that remote reservoir, and I love the look of the swing arm. I think the tank stickers are pretty ugly, maybe uglier than the front number plate. And then obviously you got the modern over here. But let's start comparing them. The new bike comes with electric start, while this bike here is an open classer, so most of the time you'd assume that that new bike starts a lot easier. But actually, this old machine starts really easy. I have to say, it kicks over like a Honda SL70 and fires up effortlessly. I can almost think this bike is starting. I can start it with my left hand. I'm not sure how all the reviews back in the day said that that bike was hard to start, because I've never had an issue with it. It's always been effortless for me. As far as suspension goes, in 1981, they were having a lot of growing pains there, swapping to that ProLink. I don't have too many complaints about the rear, but the front, you kind of have to keep them soft. If you stiffen them up too much, the whole chassis just doesn't work quite right. The whole bike feels a little heavy. As far as the modern bike here, it's so stiff that you can feel that it was really designed with Supercross in mind. It's hardly even a motocrosser, really. The forks are so darn stiff. The shock is so darn stiff. It feels good with the hydraulic clutch and things like that. But the cable-operated unit on the old machine is pretty darn good. But the real question comes down to power, because we know the old one couldn't really keep up with the modern around a track. So the only chance it's really got is in a straight line. Is it able to do it? Well, I'm going to make a video about that soon, where you actually get to see these two bikes running and racing against each other to see how they do. But a friend of mine actually helped me out with that probably about a year or so ago, and we did 3 drag races. We swapped riders as well on them, just to see how they would do. It was on grass in my backyard. The 1981 beat the new bike 2 out of 3 races. So I'd say that's pretty darn good. The new bike is a really high revving machine, while the old bike hardly turns over 6,500 RPM. It's kind of a diesel. Just as soon as it gets into that power, around 5,000, 6,000 RPM, you short shift and keep going. Maybe it's because the M5B got it off the line in the grass a little better than the stock Dunlop that came on the new bike. But regardless, the old bike was no slouch. And as far as reliability goes, I now have so many hours on this machine that it's rather sickening. After about 200 hours on it, I pulled the top end apart just to see what everything was looking like. And it was so nice that I put it back together. I can't think of any other machine that you could have that many hours on, really, besides a trail-oriented bike, you know, an XR or something like that. So really, really dependable, really reliable bike, which, again, is kind of contradictory to a lot of the magazines back in the day. They said the bike wasn't reliable, and I've seen a lot of these motors where they put the connecting rod right through the bottom of them. So maybe I got a good one. Mine was built, you know, middle of the week instead of Monday morning or Friday night, I guess. Don't know. As far as if I was going to go trail ride one of these two bikes today, I really might have to choose the old one just because it's got such usable power. But the new bike, it does shriek on top, and it's very, very fast. If you were going around a track, you'd have a hard time keeping up with the old bike. The old drum brakes just aren't quite enough to really slow the bike down. The rear feels okay, but I think it's really because of how much traction the M5B gets on any kind of track. On the front, it's got double leading setup on it. I'll show you that. So instead of having just one brake arm, it's really got two actuating from both sides. Bike would do a lot better if it was disc, but that just wasn't in the cards yet, with this being the early 80s. But you can see where Honda was really trying. This is the machine that would end up becoming cr450r. This bike here is really, I think it's 431 cc's, but I never noticed it being down on power. In fact, if you ask me whether I'd rather ride this bike or one of the 480s, I would take this bike over either of the 480s. The 83 480 is probably the best handling Honda open classer of all time, why this is probably the worst handling open classer. But the way the motor starts so effortlessly has just really, really enticed me. I've loved it. Put a lot of hours on this machine over the years. DG silencer on it. Stock seat cover. Starting to finally rip up after all these years of abuse. I've got a new one for it sitting here somewhere. Aluma-Lite handlebars. Those were pretty expensive back in the day, really. But we're gonna do a full-blown shootout with these two, just to show you how good that old bike really is and how much it can keep up with the new machine. Obviously that new bike's light years better in a lot of ways, but that old bike can still fight, especially when it comes down to a drag race. If you want to see that video, please comment, please subscribe, please like this video, and keep watching our others. We could really use it. Thank you, everybody.